Dust always said to start in the cake. This was literary advice that they picked up while getting their MFA, and for years was one of their primary critiques of a lot of media. Starting in the cake means to skip all of the usual setup. Don't introduce the characters to us, don't introduce the world, don't lead up to the plot. From the very first page, you should just be in the thick of it already, and let the reader figure out the rest while things are already moving. You have to understand, Dust was a voracious reader as a child, and by the time they were 12 had probably read more books than I've read now, and I was also a pretty big reader as a kid. Just not go to the library every week and fill up my little red wagon with as many books as they'll let me take big. And by the time I met them, they were already exhausted of the slow and standard method of easing a reader into a story. They wanted to be flung into the middle of a story like it was a stormy ocean and be told to get good or perish. So, while I'm someone who, to this day, honestly really enjoys the gentle incline towards adventure that comes at the start of a good book, I would like to honor Dust's preferences and start this story in the cake. But I have a problem. To me, Yiva, your narrator and main character, this is more a story where the cake is already gone. Where you thought you had enough to last for years, decades, but actually it turns out cakes can just fucking vanish while you are on your way out to dinner one March evening and now there's never going to be any cake again. This is a post-cake story. All I have now is a shattered plate, miscellaneous crumbs, and countless memories that feel like they're fading more rapidly every day. A large part of me wants to leave it at that, to leave the pieces where they fell and just personally find out what happens when someone's story ends. But I have responsibilities and obligations, and Dust left behind their dearly beloved cat, so here I am, trying to figure out how to live in a post-cake story. Ultimately, my decision was pretty straightforward. I believe art can make something out of anything, or out of nothing. That's the wonder of it. So, less than a month after Dust was buried, I started making stained glass. This piece is called Starway. It's my second stained glass design, and this footage is from my first few attempts at making it. The idea was that if I used mostly rectangular shapes, I would have an easier time cutting the glass. This was a lesson I learned from my first stained glass design, which was all curves and sharp angles.
Oh no, we can see it going. Oh, it's gonna fuck up. Oh.
I am an absolute rookie at stained glass, especially at the time this footage was taken. Here's some fun little mistakes I made while working on this. This layered orange glass is gorgeous, but a huge pain to get to break right. I know part of the problem is just that I'm new, but this particular sheet is absolutely more unpredictable than any of the others I've worked on, even now. Or this, can you tell what happened here? As designed, the middle column has far more horizontal cuts than the outer two columns, and the lines in the artwork where I planned this piece are thicker than the foil that actually follows those lines. So I lose a little space on each piece, and since the middle column has more pieces, once assembled it was shorter than the surrounding columns. I thought I could fix this by just adding another piece in the middle, and I felt pretty clever for that solution, but then I realized it messes up the horizontal shine lines coming off of the star. So actually what I needed to do was make the outer columns shorter. This specific version was always a test piece. But the point of test pieces is to see it through so you can learn as much as you can before you go on to the ones that you hope to be able to sell. So I wanted to do everything I could to complete this one before I started over on making it 5 more times, which was a great idea that I did not have the patience to follow. Because setting up and cleaning up after the grinder is a whole thing, I proceeded to start 5 more copies, now with thinner lines. I meant to go back to working on my test piece after that, but I guess I got excited and ended up just continuing with these versions. That's how this one ended up being test piece number 2. Anyone soldering professionally on YouTube makes it look so easy. Their lines flow so cleanly, leaving enchanting silver streaks that make the perfect accents to their art. Here is the brutal reality of a newbie learning to solder. molten metal spattering all over your work, flux clinging everywhere but the copper foil, lines drawing into lumpy, spiky messes. As far as I can tell, at least I didn't heat crack any of the glass, which is amazing considering how many times I went over some of these lines. These many errors didn't really dishearten me. I have no experience with stained glass, but a lot of experience with being bad at things. It gets better, a little bit at a time. Here's another thing that was quite difficult. I want to put these little guys into some of my pieces. To me, including a character in your art is what takes it from being something pretty to look at to a story. Stories are the form of art that Dust and I love the most. But when I conceived of this idea in my head, it was quite simple. Copper wire is not that different from copper foil, so it should be just as easy to solder as copper foil. Well, maybe if I was better at soldering, and maybe if I had put more thought into the design and how the little guy would fit into it. I struggled a lot, some sacrifices were made. I still haven't found a solution I love, but I'm not sure how much I need a new technique or how much I just need to skill grind this until I get good. Soldering professionals with experience attaching delicate 3D figures to a 2D piece of art, leave your tips in the comments below. Dust died of cardiac arrest. It was very sudden, and everything that could have feasibly been done was done. I want this to be the kind of narrative where you get backstory filtered in gradually, allowing the reader to put together little pieces at a time. But I'm compelled to say that much clear and upfront, because while I hope people do watch and do comment, it's the thing I most don't want to read speculation about. I've learned a lot in the last couple of months. I've learned how to crack and grind and foil and solder glass. I've learned the difference between cardiac arrest and a heart attack. I've learned that life can be so much like and so much unlike a story at the same time. In stories, anyone who gets cancer is kind of locked into the death by cancer plotline. Either they go into remission or the disease eats away at them until the body fails. But until one of those two things happens, the character is strangely impervious. I don't think I've ever seen a story where the body failed abruptly, even while treatment seemed to be going fine. I've learned you can go from the happiest you've ever been, because we were happy, even with the diagnosis, to the most miserable you've ever been, in just a few seconds. I've learned you can know with absolute certainty that the best days of your life simply are behind you. Not because I think happiness is impossible now. I know that people fall in love again, get married again, that they carry on and build a new life, maybe even a better one. I could write this story to go in that direction if I wanted to. But that's not the plan here. And I've learned that I, can live without aspiring to happiness. I'm not sure what I'm aspiring to, if I'm honest, but it isn't to escape my grief. Sorry, Dust. I know this isn't what you would have wanted for me. But you didn't get what I wanted for you, either. A story that starts after the cake is gone is, obviously, a tragedy. But we both always loved tragedies. If you're interested in supporting me, I think you know the drill. Subscribe, like, comment. If you are interested in purchasing some of my work, anything I have available, including the pieces featured in this video, are listed on my website, dust2stardust.com. You can find a link in the description below. You can also subscribe to my newsletter there if you want to get emails when the shop updates. And if you know anyone else going through the worst time in their life, maybe send this video to them? if you think it might help. I don't know. I have found that Dust's death has rewritten my brain in a fundamental way that many people are understanding of, but don't truly understand. And that's fine. That's good. I don't wish my grief on anyone. But I know there are others out there who have also been through this, and if I hope the story reaches anyone other than Dust, I hope it reaches them. Thank you for listening to the end. My goal is to get out a new chapter every month, and little shorts of some in-progress works a few times a week. So hopefully I'll see you then.